Hello, everyone. My name is Shelly Lynn Hughes, and I am the founder of Pursue 365. Welcome back to my channel. Every week, I like to interview one of our members of our community, someone who's incredible, doing some amazing things in the world. Today, we have Lindsay O'Donnell. Lindsay is a former CPG marketing agency owner that helped brands that were changing the world build community and drive sales. She was inspired after doing marketing with Whole Foods Market and is now an intuitive marketing coach, a co owner of Planted Expo, and is on a mission to help business owners remove mindset blocks to blast off their brand. Well, welcome to our channel today, Lindsay. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here because as much as I know about you, I want to know more. Working with Whole Foods Market, having your own, which is a huge corporation, having your own business now and being intuitive marketing, doing your own intuitive marketing for other brands, I really need to know more.
I'm here for it.
And you're like, I'm here, we're ready to do it.
Yay.
So good. Okay. So, one of the things is you are a formal digital marketing agency owner, but now an intuitive coach.
Yeah.
Tell me the difference. Tell me what goes on. I want to know.
Yeah. I'm so excited because to me, I haven't seen it out there. So maybe I'll just tell you how I got here and that'll kind of explain it is I was doing marketing, coaching, consulting through my agency and I loved it. Um, but anyone that's done any kind of coaching or consulting, you could have like 10 clients and five of them will knock it out of the park and five of them just won't. Like they either don't do it or it just doesn't work for them. And while I was wrapping up my agency last year, I started to take an intuitive, like a pretty intense, almost year-long intuitive coaching program. And that involves like looking at shadow work, mental blocks. And I started to realize like sometimes people would have an issue with the niche, and that actually wasn't the question. Or the reason their marketing wasn't working was because they had a mental block. And people tend to think like, oh, a mental block is like, fear of being seen. And yeah, sure. That is one, like, and it seeps into your brand and your business. However, like it can get pretty complicated. So I was speaking with someone the other day who has gone through a series of businesses that he's always like on the edge of like, I have to put it all in. I'm building this business or this business is about to fail. And the shadow work was that he was actually avoiding intimacy. So his subconscious was always creating situations where he was in fight or flight and having to put out a fire because then if he did that and if he was creating a situation, then he never actually had to like challenge himself and put himself in very uncomfortable situations for him. So what happens now is I do coaching consulting, but people will come to me with a question and I know how to pull the thread to say like, okay, well, this is what you do on social media, or hold on, there's something else here that we need to peel back. Like I know when they come to me with the question, whether the question is what they're asking me, which I can answer, or if it's something else. And so the way I always describe it is a Venn diagram. I can do just intuitive readings. Like if you don't want to talk about business and you want to like talk about your childhood, great. I can do just marketing strategy, but the magic is in the middle.
I love that so much because going back to even with Pursuit 365, which is probably why you're in part of this community, is that I love that on so many levels because with you need to have the spiritual side, but then you need to have the business side as well. You need to have the grounding, but then the business sense. So the fact
Yeah.
that you do the two of them together, and it's very unique because I don't know anyone doing what you're doing. That's interesting with the gentleman who the intimacy and the relationships and him continuing with all this path. So I mean, we're not going to go deep into him and find out who he is or anything, but did you worked through that with him? And is it helping it's obviously going to help both his business life and his personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard. But it's so necessary. Like, because if you think about it, if he had gone to any kind of like marketing resource, not to knock on them, but they would have been like, you need SEO, you need this. But really, it's him sabotaging it. It's him creating a life of like fight or flight so that the balance isn't there. And if you're in a stage of fight or flight, you're not making good decisions, So
Absolutely not.
you're either like trying to build up a business or you're tearing it down. I had another guy come to me and he wanted to figure out his niche and he was a life coach. And I knew immediately, I was like, this is not the question and it's not your problem. And by the end of it took, sometimes I find with calls, I get stuff immediately. I'm like, this is what your brand should be doing. This is what you should be focusing on. But with him and some people, it takes me almost an hour to be like, what is it here? And by the end of the call, he was like, I want to be a stand-up comedian. I was like, your business isn't working because you hate it. So yeah, it's my mentor, Dr. Divi, says there's three boxes. The first one is like there's three boxes of like awareness. And the first one is like, oh, seeing how, like knowing what's kind of going on, kind of understanding that there's mindset. Box two is sort of understanding that you create your reality. Like,
Mhm.
okay, there's a reason this person came into my life. There's a reason I was taught this. There's a reason my businesses are failing. It's because I'm not getting a lesson. And then box three is like shadow work of like, where does this come from? How do I heal this? So usually people are coming to me with box one where they just don't know what the real question is. They don't know what the problem is. And oftentimes they don't know to seek someone out like me. So I do a lot of free sessions, a lot of group work, a lot of 20-minute sessions, and they're profound and mind-blowing and deeply rewarding.
Wow. Well, a few of those things stuck out for me, but one of the things that really stuck out. So Dr. Divi is she's your one of your coaches.
She's the one I did the program with, and so she's my mentor. Yeah, she's amazing, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, she's part of our community and has been for 4 years. I
Oh,
got to
amazing.
interview her a week or two ago
Oh, that's so funny.
and she spoke at one of my events, but she's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. The first experience I had with her, I was divorced and I was like, I'm not getting anything out of therapy because I have all of these resources. I have friends and family. Like I didn't need somebody. And for therapy, therapy for me was a lot of like, sounds like that was hard for you. Where I went and saw Dr. Divi and it was like 10 years of therapy in like 20 minutes. I call it getting divvied. Like she was like, oh, well, this is happening because you decided at this age that you didn't want to do this and now you're doing this pattern. And I was like, and so, Dr. Divi doesn't really do one-on-one anymore, but instead she's training people and everyone in her program is picking niches. And I was like running an agency. I love marketing and I can help people. Like once we get through the mind block, I can be like, yo, this is where you go for branding and this is where you find a designer and you do need an email list or you don't need to be on YouTube. And so that's why I'm specializing in entrepreneurs and like
That's super
brands.
cool. That's super cool. No, when she spoke at our event, one of our girls, actually, who's part of our mastermind group, he's been around for a while, she brought her on stage
Yeah.
and like 20 minutes, it changed her life.
I'm not surprised at all.
And
Yeah.
and we wanted more. We were like, okay, we want more of Dr. Divi. Like, I'm surprised the room didn't start chanting. So that's incredible that she helped you get to what you're doing, and now you're doing your niche of this intuitive marketing. Okay, what kind of do you work with? Well, it sounds to me you don't work with specific mm, types of brands. Do you work like because you came from the natural health food world. You came from
Yeah.
Whole Foods, which we all know Whole Foods is a giant, and
Yeah.
marketing with them and getting in with them and the whole bit. So do you work with specific types of people or types of brands, or are you just all over because you're like, hey, I'm intuitive and I get this?
Yeah.
Just entrepreneurs in general.
Pretty much. I mean, I get a lot of food businesses because they know me and because I know the industry. And so I do find that I'm still doing a little bit of marketing work. So I'm finding like I'll do intuitive sessions. And then the food businesses, not always, but mostly the food businesses are like, can you help me implement that? And I'm still doing this. The plan is to not doing forever. But, I feel like I'm better at food businesses because I can connect. I'll be like, oh, well, okay, well, now we figured this out. You need help. Like, this is a great photographer in your area. This is like an influencer you should work with. But no, I'm not really in a niche now, but I'm still very much in that community.
Yeah, no, the natural health food community, we were just both talking about how we're both going to be at CHFA. It's
Yeah.
always fun to get to CHFA and see what's going on and what the new foods are out there, what the new, research is and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, we're going to see each other in person in a few weeks then.
I'm excited. Are
I'm
you
super excited about that. Yeah, I'll be with Erin Ashley, which she has a new perimenopausal book coming out. So I'm just going to be at her booth talking about that.
amazing? Okay, I'll come to your booth.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Well, the launch is April. Oh shoot, I wrote it down here. Yeah, the launch is coming up. I believe it's April 13th. I have to look. But anyways, yeah, we're really excited about that. So now you work with, so what would be the process? Someone would call you up and say, "Hey, this is my business. This is what I'm doing." Do you do it virtually, like, or do you only do it in person? And do you do group sessions?
Actually, the only group sessions I've done are presentations for other people, and they're still really powerful. I actually just did one this week because people don't realize like their own shadows. And so I did a presentation where I was like, here's some like common shadows. I think you and I talked about how I have an ebook with like, it's a very quick one with like 5 of the most common shadows. Almost everything is digitally, it's by Zoom. And so I just have people come to me. They can book a free 20-minute session. And I'll just say, like, come to me with any problem, any problem. If it's like, I don't think my social media is working, to like, I'm exhausted and I can't stop and my business is failing, or whatever it is. And then I have hourly, so people can book whenever. And I often find like 6 weeks to like every month is really powerful, particularly for entrepreneurs. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly being faced with obstacles and like challenges that involve like your mindset. Like, if you're leveling up, you're constantly being challenged with like your identity, your limiting mindset. Like, if you really want to accelerate, I think that this work is quite necessary, particularly because you're just starting with like something that's like, I have a client right now and every meeting is like, well, what's going to happen? Should I talk with this person? Should I do this? And it's like very much intuitive reading. But now we're moving into, well, this is why this person came into your life. This is what you learned. And this is what you're going to have to overcome to get to the next level. So people can book hourly with me, but I would always say, like, get a free 20-minute session. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, I often do like 4 or 5 free hour sessions, like whoever registers first. Because as you and I talk, this is a totally new experience. So it's very helpful for me to like show people the experience. And then I tend to get referrals that way, and just people kind of understand.
Yeah. So, okay, and your IG, which your Instagram, if someone doesn't know what IG is, your Instagram, I'm going to be putting in below with the information about you, as
Yeah.
well as the bio, so people can get it there. But they can go to your Instagram, and is it just like at the top in your bio, they can download, was it five, where is it? The Minds ebook on mindset and marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in the link. So it's like, yeah,
Cool.
you can look, everything's in the link. Like, you can book a 20-minute session, the freebies there. My newsletter, like, I only really send it out when I've got something to say or announce. Like, it's so funny. I was a marketing agency owner. It was about lead magnets, sales, content creation. And now it's just like, I show people the experience and the right people find me. It's like very opposite.
Well, there's a time and place for everything, right? Like I always say, with having members from 16 countries now, some people, when our newsletter goes out, they're sleeping, and then other people are like, "Oh, that's like, oh, you've sent 2 this month, that's too many," or "You've only sent 2, we want 6." Like,
Yeah.
you can't please everyone, and it's just time and place, and yeah, it's hard. And then some people will never go to your website or their website. It's all over the map.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah. Can't
So,
make
but
everybody
what you're
happy.
doing is probably you're going with your own intuition for what you need to do for your clients, and they're coming to you organically, and doing minimal amount of like advertising. I say to people too, like, putting a full page ad in a magazine is not really going to do anything for you, but if you're writing for it, or
Yeah.
you're right, like, yeah, if you're writing for it, then you're building your personal brand, which is going to help your business brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I need to write you an article. It's still on my list.
You know what, we're not going to keep, but you need to write me 5 so they're all set up for the year.
Okay. Okay. I will.
You got, you got five
It's on my
magazines
list.
coming out, and then you have a full page. Anyways, we'll talk about that. But yeah,
Okay.
you need to do that as well. Write me 5, get them done and over with, because then
Okay.
then they're just over.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Okay.
Mhm. Or put a reminder every 2 months.
Right. Okay. I will. I will. I'm pretty type A, so I'll get it done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I'm type A, but then don't you find sometimes type A that you're just getting so busy that you just
Yeah.
can't keep up?
Yeah. Because you can get so much done that you're just like, yeah, yeah, just like pile it on, pile it on. Yeah.
Yeah. What do I call it? Or actually, my girlfriend, who's a mental health nurse, she calls me not an overachiever, the word for it. Anyways, just like an over, when you take too much on. It's not an overachiever. It's like a over.
Yeah. And so there's a few shadows with that.
Mhm.
Like one
But
of
now I have
them,
assistants, so I'm not stupid.
well, one of them, like I don't like, obviously, like, it could show up in like you avoiding intimacy. Obviously, I don't think that's your issue. That's funny because I was just diving into this. Like, what is the issue? Because I have a few clients that are like, I love my work. I love it, but I work 20 hours a day and I have no problem with it. And Dr. Divi was saying, like, often that results in heart problems later, which, makes sense. But one of them, which I think makes a lot of sense, is like, women, we all have shadows, right? Like, if you're a woman, even like a white man, people of color, like, there's different shadows, right? But as a woman, we've kind of been like shoved into our masculine. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to work, you have to be like 50% better. You have to get things done. You have to handle the household. And particularly if you're a single woman, like, you've had to be in your masculine for safety, to like provide for your family, all these things. And often once you reach that point, that was my experience as well. through coaching was I was like, I had to be in my masculine, but then I got to a point where it was like, this isn't working. I need more balance. Like both of them are great, but both of them like in an unbalance isn't good. So I'm not saying that's your shadow, but that could be a shadow too, is like simply being a woman has shoved you into like productivity mode for feelings of safety and just also like feeling like I need to provide. But anyway.
But don't you find, and I've talked about this in past sessions with people like YouTube interviews, my favorite people, or the my favorite people, I'll just say that, or the easiest ones to get along with and have a positive relationship with are the ones that are balanced between their masculine energy and their
Yeah.
feminine energy. I love being a strong woman. I
Yeah.
love being a strong woman, but I also love being a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you are completely correct in the side of it where women, and a lot of, some men blame, there's blame on both sides, but we have had to come into more of our masculine energy many times. Like myself, I have my children full time. Um, I'm the provider. I'm the, the gentle, like the loving mother. I'm the disciplinary. I'm everything. I've got to bring home and feed them. So yes, we do have to. But then when there's times when I can be in my feminine energy, I really try to embrace that.
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny because I was just having this conversation with someone, not to deviate from business,
No,
but
no,
like,
I love it. This conversation,
yeah,
I love this kind of conversation.
in dating, like my opinion is that the patriarchy pushed women, they had to be smarter. They like, you know what I mean? Like if you want to succeed, you had to like ball bust. You had to be smarter. And people of color as well, right? Like if you want to be paid 80 cents to the dollar, you had to be exceptional. Sports, business, whatever. And white men oftentimes were given the message of like, you just like just being a white man means that you deserve more. And that's not everybody, but that's the patriarchy, right? But now it's like you have generations of women who are like excelling. Their bar of like their standard bar of existing is like up here, you know? And now there's a certain group of men that feel emasculated because they're like, I should be able to do nothing and be exist and just exist to be worshiped. And neither's right. You know what I mean? Like women shouldn't have to go
You're
200%
so
to
right.
be accepted and men shouldn't have like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's creating this disconnect because they're like, I've been told that this is enough and now I feel inferior. But it's like you've created a system in which I've had to overshadow you to be seen as equal. So it's like I see a big disconnect. And one thing I'll say is like my ex-boyfriend was very much in his masculine and his feminine, and there was nothing sexier. Like he worked construction, he was a professional athlete, and he also worked at a nail salon. Like it was like, let me tell you, if you're able to live in both, you're unstoppable.
That absolutely. Well, even like if you look at high profile people that we are, whether you love her or hate her or not, but high profile people that we look up to, they generally are balanced between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, I'll use it just as, one that everyone knows. I mean, you look at Oprah Winfrey,
Yeah.
strong, very good businesswoman, but loves being a woman. She
Yeah.
loves being gentle and kind and, but also don't mess with her too, right? So
Yeah.
there's a balance between the two. So I'm giggling a little bit over here because it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you go too far on one side of it, it's just so unhealthy, or those types of people, they're just so hard to be around. It sounds terrible, but too masculine or too feminine, not a balance between the two of them. So
Yeah.
I
And
guess
like,
you can pull that out when you're doing your intuitive energy with people or working with people one on one or in group. Well, you don't really do group sessions, do you? No, you just do one on
yeah,
one.
I'm starting to. So again, if you follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, like I actually am going to be announcing a group workshop, but you're
Ooh.
totally right because I was on this last group workshop. I think, what was I giving advice on? Someone was like, well, how does she do this? And it wasn't about stepping into her feminine, but it was something about like allowing herself to relax. And the thing is, like, I was saying, like, you need to allow yourself to go for walks, things like that, very simple things. And listen, if you don't have a problem with that, you might eye roll. But for somebody who is in a state of fight or flight and is like, feels like they can't stop working, taking a walk in the middle of the day can feel like you're dying. So there's a lot of like things that you can do. Like Dr. Debbie mentions, like there's certain meditations I take my clients through. I take them through certain journal exercises, but sometimes it's just simple things. Like for me, I had a thing about feeling safe vulnerably about with like good looking men. Like, I had no problem communicating my feelings to my friends, my family, or even men that, like, were my friends that I wasn't interested in, but there was, like, a good-looking man that I was attracted to. The thought of allowing him to know that I liked him, it felt like I was dying. So it's like, these things that we talk about in terms of, like, stepping into your feminine, it's important, and it's important if you're towing your line towards it, like, you're edging towards it, and you feel unsafe. Like, I have one client who constantly works herself to burnout and then has to take like a week off. And we brought her through a meditation and she was just crying. And it was a safety thing. Like it was like, if I don't stop working, so you're not making good decisions in that position.
No.
You're not listening to your intuition and you're not building a business. You're making work for the sake of work because you're afraid, deeply afraid to stop.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that is that fear factor, insecurity, fear factor, finding out what that is. Like you said, the original gentleman you talked about, like it was a completely different thing. And without help, it's like, how are you going to figure it out if you haven't figured it out all these years? You're 40 years old or 35 or 50 years old, you haven't figured it out
Yeah.
yet, right? You need to go and talk to someone.
Yeah,
And
and the
so,
way Dr. Divi responds is that she's like, it's like a rearview mirror up here. So it's not you. You can't see it. Like I can't like I'm deep in the work. Divi's deep in the work, and you still need someone else to pull that thread with you.
mhm. Well, I've talked with other people I've spoken to about this and even myself. I love it when you have like you're a coach, a business coach, but then you have coaches and to help you or mentors. I now have an older mentor and a younger mentor
Yeah, that
because
makes sense.
being like middle age now, there's like I see both sides of it, right? I need both sides, or I need to see both sides of it. So with someone like you can see where, like you said, where they can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like being in that relationship you shouldn't be in until you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's not your fault. You're in a place that feels safe to you.
Yeah. So with your sessions, let's just say someone gives you a phone call. They're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Lindsay, I need some help here." Could it be a one-time thing? Could it be a 100-time thing? Or is it just all like random depending on the what's going on with the person?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty new, so a lot of people are doing one-time things, but I feel like they'll come back. Like it's a little addicting because it's freeing. It's like such a weight. So it's like some of the people that I mentor, it's like after I do one session, they're immediately booking the next one. So some people come in and it takes them a long time to chew on it. And then some people are like, sign me up. I want to talk to you every 2 weeks. And I just allow them to do that. I do have some people with contracts where they're like, great, now that you've told me this, I'm going to work on my shadow, but I need you to help me. Like a lot of what I do is also pulling the brand out of them. A brand is a manifestation of you. It's your vision of the change you want to see in the world. And so sometimes it's like, I'll say like, what is your purpose in this world? Like, why are you here? And they'll tell me something and it'll be like, for people on audio, like it's like way over on the left and their brand is way over on the right. And I'm like, hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but you said that your purpose is like this and it's inspiring and it's deeply moving. And the way your brand is showing up is like way over on the right and it's like womp womp. So they're like, okay, I need to step into myself, but I also need help as to like what does the messaging look like? How does it visually look like? And I'll know when it hits me in the chest. And so with some clients, I continue to work on their marketing in that capacity where I'll write them marketing plans, I'll do mock-ups, I'll help them hire someone, but they'll know, like they don't actually know how to execute it, but they know what it should be.
Yeah. And you're completely right. Like with your brand, your business brand and your personal brand, they're together.
Yeah.
Whether someone likes it or not, they're like, "Oh, that's just, no, that's my company. It has nothing to do with me." No, it has everything to do with you. And as a matter of fact, I actually didn't even start to become, and in quotations, successful until I realized that with myself, Pursue 365 literally is me. Like it
Yeah.
is. Like
Yeah.
it literally is me. Now I loved Fresh Magazine. I loved being in the organic skincare line. I had distributed a dental tool. I've done a lot of things. All in the kind of health and wellness, beauty, business world.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until what you're saying, you need to know your personal brand and your business brand, and they do come together.
Yeah.
So if you're in a completely different, like I could never be a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's just so not my brand. Like,
Yeah.
I would feel like I was hurting people's feelings all the time.
Yeah. And like it's interesting. I don't know why this came to me, but also sometimes it's retelling the story of your past that is really what you need. Like sometimes people are in the right place. Their brand is perfect. So I was working with one guy, working with a lot of guys. It's interesting.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I love it.
It's funny because I started out and I was like, I think women are my target. And then I started offering free sessions and it was all men. But I was working with a guy and he had like amazing experience. He'd worked for like P&G India. He had like overseen like major brands. He was a graphic designer. Like I was like, what is stopping this guy? And sometimes I ask hard questions. Like I was like, what are you doing? Like he was like, oh, I'm helping build my girlfriend's brand first. And I was like, why? Like I'm like, this seems like you're not, what are you doing? Like she doesn't need your help. And it feels like this is weird. Like I like weird in the sense of like I knew it intuitively. I was like, something's
Intuitively, you knew he was not doing the right thing for himself.
like I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And then through pulling the thread, I learned like he felt like he had failed design school because he was a designer and then he left. And then he felt
Okay.
like he had like worked for this big brand and then he left. And I just said one thing and he's like, it transformed my life. Where I just said, like, what if those weren't failures? What if that was your runway? Like, what if you're where you're supposed to be and you needed all of these experiences? And then once you got everything you need, it just dried up. Like you're not a failure. You're Steve Jobs learning calligraphy before Apple, And he was just like, I've never thought of it that way. And that block was holding him back because he was like finding distractions and the way he was showing up was very meek,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden being like, oh, like I've equipped myself. It's not like I'm a failure showing up with a new brand, like hope asking people to trust him. It was like I have all these like I'm armed with all this experience and now I'm lifting off. So sometimes it's just like a change in perception that can be really profound for people.
And with you, you do have all of that experience, like working with these brands, with Whole Foods, having your own marketing agency, and now being on your own, you've got something to fall back, like not fall back on. You've got experience
Yeah.
to put with that, and being an intuitive person, and like the fact that you work Dr. Divi just makes it all much better for me because she's just like so amazing.
I know we're both in love with her.
I know. I'm like, she's my non-sexual girl crush. Like she's my
Yeah, yeah,
or
everyone.
Ann Kaplan, Dr. Ann Kaplan Mulholland. She's another one who I just like, those people when they're just living life that's just like they're successful, and I'm not saying successful financially even though they are, but
Yeah,
they're like their families are happy, they're healthy.
yeah,
So they have a good relation with their family, they're healthy, they're enjoying life every day, they're laughing every day. And in the end, their bank accounts are good.
yeah,
Like, they're not afraid to make money as well. And they're just the energy around them is so amazing.
yeah,
But going back to Dr. Divi and going back to Dr. Ann Kaplan, the two of them are balanced between their masculine and feminine, and they're
yeah,
balanced between their business lives and their personal lives.
yeah,
And their
yeah.
brand is literally on par of where that it should be.
Yeah, like I know Dr. Diffie, she's like the growth is still happening. And like that's the thing is when I talk to people who feel like they can't stop working or I'm like, look at some of these people, like especially like even like big CEOs, like they get up, they meditate, they hit the golf course. Like there's a that's another big shadow is a scarcity mindset. And it's interesting how that shows up. A scarcity mindset set can show up in a really crappy social media page. And how that shows up is like
That's what I
each
was going to
post
ask you. Well, how does it show up? So someone knows.
it shows up in a page that looks like a flyer. Uh,
Yes.
a post that is like, my salsa is 30 cents off. It's at Whole Foods. It's made organically. And it's a scarcity mindset because you don't trust that you'll have more touch points with them. A Nike will have a billboard that says nothing. Their billboards don't say our shoes are 30% leather. They're at these stores. They're just like greatness. And so
Oh,
there's
I
a
love
scarcity
that.
mindset.
Very
Yeah.
good. I love that. That is an
Yeah.
excellent
You're
example.
not trusting that people are gonna be engaged. You're not trusting that you're gonna have more interactions with them. You're not trusting that they're gonna, like, wanna see more with you, so you're, like, vomiting this
Yeah.
information at them, and that's a scarcity mindset. And so going back, like Dr. Divi and these people, they're so successful, but there's not a scarcity mindset. Like they're able to put out the work and be productive, but they're able to like be like, I'm done or I've done enough. And like I trust that what I'm doing is so quality and so magnetic that people they'll go to the newsletter, they'll go to the next thing. And that's a big thing. And that's really hard to break. Like I find the scarcity mindset, you tell people, you show them, you explain the funnel and all this stuff, and they go right back to it. And it's like you got to do some deep work because scarcity mindset, I think we all have. It can come generationally. It can come from like childhood experiences or like a failed business, but like that's really hard to let go of.
You know what? I would love for you to write an article on that for the Pursuit magazine.
Okay, I'll add it to my list of one of the five that I'm writing
One
you.
of the five. Yeah, I think it would be
Yeah.
really good because that is a huge holdback for people.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really truly is. It's like that there's no connection there.
and it's so annoying for the consumer.
Well, the
You know?
consumer, it's actually like, yeah, it pushes them away.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to do with that. It's so unattractive.
Yeah, it's like a guy that won't stop calling you.
Oh my gosh, which I'm gonna send you something on Instagram, but so funny. Yeah, no, it's like that. It's like, yeah, for sure. They just won't. And then you're like, just stop. It's
Yeah.
very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That is going to be a really great article.
I'm excited. It'll
I'm
happen.
excited too. I'm excited. Okay, well, you know what? You've given us so much information today on, what you do, given us information, just takeaway stuff, right? But before we do shut down here, I want to know what else you have happening and what you can share with everyone listening today and watching today. Do you have something really cool coming up? What do you got going on?
I do. I have a couple really cool things coming up. On April 4th, I've teamed up with a photographer and a makeup artist. So people can come in for an hour and get private coaching, glam, and headshots for like $175. That's in Vancouver.
Let's
And
share
I'll
that
be
with the community as well.
Yeah, I'll share the link. That's also in my bio. And so basically, like, I'll be reaching out to attendees beforehand. And so I'll be like, ask me your questions. And so I will have come after like meditating and looking at whatever your questions so that when we have a session during it, I can just give you all the information. So that's exciting. I will be announcing a workshop soon. And there was one more thing. Oh, and the freebie that's in my newsletter. But I am just like starting and growing. I've been doing this since December, and it's been really good. But if you follow me on LinkedIn, I feel like that's where my most in-depth content is right now, and it's where I put like the free. I'll be like, hey, I've got 5 spots this month. If you want a session at this value for free, just like book a time. So,
Well, you
um,
said, it's funny with you because you are just starting this new company,
yeah,
but you have so much experience and knowledge behind what you're doing. So I
yeah,
just want to make sure people were clear with that.
yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like you're new in what you're doing, but like it's your
Yeah,
own.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. Well, those are three really exciting things. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go follow you on Instagram, connect with you on LinkedIn, um, get into some of those free sessions, sign up for your events. And yeah, no, I think, Lindsay, you got a lot of really good stuff going on and very impressive.
Thank you. It was so fun to talk to you, and I will get those articles. Thank you for the kick in the butt.
Articles and full page ad, a generic full page
Yay.
ad.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know. It's such a great opportunity. I need to move faster.
we'll do the reminders. But anyways, thank you for coming today, and I appreciate you taking the time out
Thank you. Thank you for
and
having
being
me.
part of Pursuit.